April 20th, 1949, 0930 hours. HMS Amethyst, a modified Black Swan-class frigate, was 8 miles below Qingqiang on the Yangtze River when communist artillery batteries opened fire from Rose Island. The first salvo missed. The second bracketed the ship. The third struck the wheelhouse, killing the coxswain instantly and shattering Lieutenant Commander Bernard Skinner's legs. 22 shells would hit HMS Amethyst in 30 minutes. 17 men would die. The ship would run aground, crippled and trapped 140 miles upriver from the sea. In the captain's cabin, shell number 4 detonated. The blast obliterated the compartment. The ship's cat, a black and white Tom named Simon, was found unconscious, burned, punctured by shrapnel, whiskers gone. For 101 days, HMS Amethyst would remain trapped. Summer heat hit 100 degrees. Rats infested every deck. And Simon, despite wounds that should have killed him, would hunt those rats, over 200 of them, keeping disease at bay and giving the crew reason to survive. Britain would award him the Dickin Medal. He would never receive it. This is the Yangtze incident, and the only cat in military history to earn a medal for valour. HMS Amethyst was 1,200 miles up a Chinese river because the British Empire hadn't figured out it was dying. For a century, British gunboats had patrolled the Yangtze, protecting commercial interests. By 1949, that system was collapsing. Mao Zedong's Communist People's Liberation Army was crushing Chiang Kai-shek's nationalists. The communists had crossed the Yangtze in April, pushing south. They didn't recognize foreign treaty rights. The Yangtze was Chinese water now. Britain didn't get the message. HMS Amethyst received orders to sail upriver to Nanjing to relieve HMS Consort and supply the British embassy. Standard colonial procedure: send a ship, show the flag, pretend nothing had changed. HMS Amethyst was a modified Black Swan-class sloop, 1,350 tons, 4 4-inch guns, designed for convoy escort. Fast, shallow draft for river work. The crew numbered 183 men, mostly young peacetime volunteers. Lieutenant Commander Skinner, the captain, was 32. This was supposed to be routine. And there was Simon. He'd been smuggled aboard in Hong Kong in 1948, a scraggly stray, maybe a year old. Ships needed cats. Rats could destroy a vessel from within. Simon was exceptional. Within weeks he'd cleared the rat population. The crew adored him. Captain Skinner let Simon sleep in his cabin. On April 19th, HMS Amethyst entered the Yangtze and began sailing upriver. None of them knew the communists had positioned artillery on Rose Island to close the river to foreign traffic. April 20th, 0930 hours. Communist 75mm and 105mm field guns opened fire without warning. The first shots missed, ranging fire. Then direct hits. Shell after shell slammed into HMS Amethyst. The wheelhouse was destroyed. Skinner took shrapnel through both legs. Femoral arteries severed, bleeding out in minutes. Lieutenant Weston assumed command and immediately took shrapnel to his legs. With no one at the helm and steering damaged, HMS Amethyst swung and ran aground on a mud bank off Rose Island, directly under communist guns. Shell number 4 hit the captain's cabin. The blast was catastrophic. Shrapnel tore through everything. Simon was caught in the open. Metal fragments punctured his back, legs, haunches. The pressure wave slammed him against the bulkhead. Flash burns seared his fur. His whiskers were burned completely off. 22 shells hit HMS Amethyst. 17 dead, 25 wounded. The ship was immobilized, grounded 140 miles from the sea. In the captain's cabin wreckage, Simon lay unconscious. Crew found him hours later, assumed he was dead. Petty Officer Griffiths checked anyway. Simon was breathing, barely. Griffiths cleaned wounds, removed accessible shrapnel, bandaged what he could. He didn't expect Simon to survive the night. That night, Simon crawled to the galley, weak, burned in pain, but alive. Rescue attempts failed. HMS Consort tried to fight upriver, took 54 hits, 10 dead, limped back. HMS London tried, 15 hits, driven back. The Royal Navy couldn't reach HMS Amethyst without full-scale war with Communist China. Britain wouldn't do that. The ship was on its own. HMS Amethyst was trapped on a mud bank in hostile territory. The Chinese surrounded them, artillery on both banks, infantry patrols watching constantly. Negotiations went nowhere. The crew settled in for days. It lasted 101. April turned to May, May to June. The Yangtze in summer is a furnace. Temperatures hit 100 degrees Fahrenheit, humidity near 100%. The ship was a steel box with no ventilation. Fresh water was rationed to 1 gallon per man per day. Food reduced to 2 meals, then 1. Wounded men died of infection. Without the medical officer or supplies, minor wounds turned fatal. Bodies were buried at sea under darkness. Morale collapsed. Men sat silent for hours, unable to function. Then the rats came. The siege conditions let rats explode in population. They bred in bilges and storage compartments. They chewed into the already low food stores. They gnawed electrical cables. They left droppings everywhere. In the heat and cramped conditions, a rat-borne illness, leptospirosis, typhus, plague, could kill everyone. The crew tried poison, traps, hunts. Nothing worked. Simon started hunting. He'd spent weeks recovering, barely eating, but as he regained strength, he resumed his job. He'd disappear into the lower decks and return with dead rats. 1, 2, 5 a day. The crew watched in awe. This cat had been blown up, shrapnel-riddled, burned, and he was hunting like nothing happened. If Simon could keep going, they could too. They called him Able Seacat Simon, a formal rank carrying real respect. They'd share meagre rations with him. They'd pet him, talk to him, draw comfort from a living thing that wasn't visibly suffering. Simon killed over 200 rats during the siege. He kept food supplies protected. He prevented disease outbreaks, and he gave 100 men reason to believe they'd survive. By July, HMS Amethyst had been trapped 101 days. Lieutenant Commander John Kierans made a decision. They'd run for it. The plan was insane. Wait for a moonless night, fire engines, pull off the sandbank, race 140 miles downriver past Chinese batteries at full speed. They'd make it or be blown out of the water. July 30, 2200 hours. The engines started. HMS Amethyst pulled free and began moving downriver. The Chinese opened fire. Shells exploded around the ship. Searchlights swept the river. HMS Amethyst ran at 22 knots, faster than designed, engines screaming, hull shaking. Tracer fire arced overhead. Simon was below decks, terrified. HMS Amethyst ran the gauntlet for hours. Shells bracketed her, but most missed in darkness. One hit the stern. The ship kept moving. They passed battery after battery, taking fire just running. At dawn July 31st, HMS Amethyst reached the Yangtze estuary and open sea. She'd escaped. The crew erupted in celebration. Simon emerged from hiding to a hero's welcome. The story reached Britain within hours. The press went wild, but everyone loved Simon. The cat, who'd survived artillery, killed hundreds of rats, kept the crew sane. Simon became an international celebrity. Fan mail poured in, hundreds of letters to Simon, HMS Amethyst, Royal Navy. The crew would read letters to Simon, who accepted attention as his due. The Royal Navy and PDSA announced Simon would receive the Dickin Medal, the first cat ever honoured. HMS Amethyst arrived in Britain to massive crowds, but British law was inflexible. All animals required 6 months quarantine. No exceptions. Simon was taken to quarantine kennels in Surrey. The crew said emotional goodbyes. Simon was placed in a wire cage, alone. After months surrounded by people who loved him, Simon was isolated. The wounds from April had never fully healed. Internal injuries, shrapnel fragments still lodged, compromised organs. The stress of isolation, combined with a virus contracted in quarantine, overwhelmed his system. November 28, 1949. Quarantine staff found Simon dead in his cage. He was approximately 2 years old. The news devastated Britain. The cat who'd survived the Yangtze died in quarantine. The HMS Amethyst crew was shattered. The Dickin Medal was awarded posthumously December 12, 1949. Simon never attended his ceremony. He was buried with full military honours at PDSA Animal Cemetery, Ilford. His gravestone reads, "Throughout the Yangtze incident, his behaviour was of the highest order." HMS Amethyst crew members attended the funeral. Grown men wept. Simon had saved them, not through one dramatic act, but through 100 days of persistence. He'd hunted rats when wounded and starving. He'd given them hope when despair should have won. And Britain had killed him with paperwork. Simon remains the only cat in history to receive the Dickin Medal. In 75 years, no other cat has earned it. He lived 2 years, he killed rats, survived artillery, endured a 101-day siege, and died in a cage because rules mattered more than sense. The crew remembers Simon, the small wounded cat who refused to quit when quitting was rational. Simon is one of many animals who served in ways that changed history. If you want more stories like this, subscribe to Animal War Heroes. Next video, Cher Ami, the WWI pigeon who saved the lost battalion despite being shot through the chest, losing an eye and having a leg hanging by a tendon. What other animal heroes should I cover? Drop your suggestions below. If Simon's story moved you, hit the like button. Thanks for watching.